upholding scientific research and discovery in respect, as we should, we must also be alert to the equal and opposite danger that public policy should itself become the captive of a scientific, technological elite.
We've signed a climate convention on the importance of economic instruments and free markets. Were included in this mammoth Agenda 21 document and the Rio Declaration. Let me be clear on one fundamental point. The United States fully intends to be the world's preeminent leader in protecting the global environment.
Coming up, Technocracy News. Patrick Wood here for Technocracy News and Trends. Welcome to the broadcast today. Today we're going to start out talking about DARPA. Maybe you've never heard of DARPA before. DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, DARPA. And DARPA is a relatively small unit at the Department of Defense, but its mission is specifically to create the most advanced type of technology for warfare and for a few other things as well, but for warfare in particular, on how to support the military with advanced technology. And of course, you might guess, they are really big on artificial intelligence. DARPA has long been known for being a technocrat-type organization. In other words, their members, their researchers, their directors, and so on, are attempting to solve a problem, a perceived problem, by using advanced technology. And in this case, warfare is really the center of the mission. So this article, which is titled DARPA, AI, Mosaic Warfare, and the Multi-Domain Battle Strategy, may seem a little oblique to you offhand, but you need to take a look at it and decide where is warfare going in the world today. Because we're not the only ones doing this. The other major powers in the world, especially China and Russia, are engaged in the same type of activities to figure out new ways to kill people, basically. So my comments on this article are technocrats at DARPA are racing to apply artificial intelligence to engaged warfare, coordinating all battlefield components into a coordinated killing machine. Success depends on engineers and computer programmers now. Not so much people or soldiers who can aim straight, but rather on programmers and engineers to correctly configure the artificial intelligence software. Now, the headline gives the two main buzzwords that are needed to understand what's going on here. First is AI Mosaic Warfare. Mosaic warfare is a new theory of battleground analysis. And then you have the concept of multi-domain battle strategy. And this has to do with the different modes. For instance, you have air power, ground power, sea power, and so on. And so multiple domains are expected now to begin to work together using artificial intelligence software. The idea of mosaic warfare is contained in the video clip, the presentation that I included from YouTube. It's called Mosaic Warfare and Multi-Domain Battle. So it's got a panel of experts and ex-generals and admirals and so on that are talking about what this means. And essentially is coordinating the entire battlefield domain by using artificial intelligence. And so things can be done at just lightning speed. The article starts out, DARPA is automating air-to-air combat. That means dogfighting, enabling reaction times at machine speeds, and freeing pilots to concentrate on the larger air battle and directing an air wing of drones. Dogfighting will still be rare in the future, but it is part of AI and automation taking over all high-end fighting. New human fighter pilots learn to dogfight because it represents a crucible where pilot performance and trust can be refined. To accelerate the transformation of pilots from aircraft operators to mission battle commanders who can entrust dynamic air combat tasks to unmanned semi-autonomous airborne assets from the cockpit, the AI must first prove it can handle the basics. The vision is AI handles the split-second maneuvering during within visual range dogfights, and pilots become orchestra conductors or higher-level managers over a large number of unmanned systems. Yes, this is what is at the root of Mosaic warfare, is how to take and combine the entire battlefield, air, ground, sea, other drones in the area, and so on, and combine them together into a single sledgehammer driven by artificial intelligence to hammer the enemy. I want to make it clear that I am not an anti-war pacifist that would say that there is never any need for physical warfare in the international realm. But I'm having a negative reaction to how this is transpiring in the world. The people who are driven to use this new technology to figure out new ways to kill people and quote-unquote dominate the battlefield is very disturbing. And it's not going to end well for either the combatants or for all the collateral damage that could be done to civilians. Nevertheless, DARPA is racing forward, and as a result, the arms race around the world is racing forward as well. Russia and China are doing the very same thing. And so the next war will be fought mostly with artificial intelligence than with real people making real decisions. This somehow is disturbing. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe you feel the same way, and I wouldn't know how to put it in check either, because we cannot control what happens in China or Russia. And if we choose just to lay down and do nothing in this area, I suppose that we would be at a significant disadvantage pretty quickly. Nevertheless, I'll say it again. This is disturbing. Mankind now apparently has the ability to kill each other with artificial intelligence, driving weaponry that dominates the battlefield. The next world war is going to be ugly. Really, really ugly. Now, we can thank the European Union for coming out with a new list of criteria for artificial intelligence being ethical. How can you apply ethics to artificial intelligence? Well, they figured a way to do it. And leave it to the European Union and the European Commission to tell the world how it ought to be done. We should remember that the EU is primarily a bunch of unelected, unaccountable technocrats in the first place, but putting that aside, we'll take a look at their list of bullet points on how artificial intelligence should be ethical. Point number 1, human agency and oversight. It says AI should not trample on human autonomy. People should not be manipulated or coerced by AI systems, and humans should be able to intervene or oversee every decision that the software makes. Well, I can say amen to that. That's exactly what we would like to see in America. Point number 2, technical robustness and safety. It says AI should be secure and accurate. It shouldn't be easily compromised by external attacks, and it should be reasonably reliable. Well, we can kind of say amen to that. Point number 3, privacy and data governance. It says personal data collected by AI systems should be secure and private. It shouldn't be accessible to just anyone, and it shouldn't be easily stolen. That's a good one. Number 4 says transparency. Data and algorithms used to create an AI system should be accessible, and the decisions made by the software should be, quote, understood and traced by human beings. In other words, operators should be able to explain the decisions their AI systems make. Amen to that, too. Transparency is a big issue in these artificial intelligence programs. And in America, of course, companies like Google and Facebook and even Twitter have been hiding behind the algorithms that they've created. In some cases, essentially saying, well, they cannot be understood. That could be true, too, by the way. Programmers may not be able to trace how their program arrived at a conclusion because it was based on learning, automatic learning, before the decision was made. Okay, point number 5, diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness. Uh-oh, this could be trouble. Services provided by AI should be available to all, regardless of age, gender, race, or other characteristics. Similarly, systems should not be biased along these lines. That's pretty innocuous. Now we get to the next one, environmental and societal well-being. This has a big problem. And it's interesting that this is the one way down the list. It says AI systems should be sustainable. Well, Now we see how the United Nations gets involved here, because AI systems should be sustainable. And then it gives an example, i.e., it says they should be ecologically responsible. Honestly, I don't know how an AI system can be ecologically responsible, but there it is. And the second part of it says, and, quote, enhance positive social change, close quote. Well, we just had a major fail. Enhance positive social change. This is the whole problem with AI in the first place, social engineering. Who gets to define what positive social change means? Is it just the programmers? Is it the managers? Is it the people who the programs are operated on? Well, they don't say. Lastly, they address the issue of accountability. AI systems should be auditable and covered by existing protections for corporate whistleblowers. Negative impacts of systems should be acknowledged and reported in advance. Well, good luck with that. We know by and large that technocrats just don't tell anybody anything unless they're forced to. And that's always been the case with artificial intelligence thus far. And in many cases, when companies hide behind non-disclosure agreements, or they hide behind the intellectual property argument, and therefore they can't divulge what's involved in the program. So at least they're having a discussion. I guess we can't fault them for that. The article points out that these requirements are pretty abstract, and they aren't legally binding, but they could possibly shape any future legislation that the EU comes up with. And it probably will. That's the way these things go. So we can expect in many, many cases that artificial intelligence is going to be used to effect, quote unquote, positive social change. This is the heartbeat of technocracy, by the way, the science of social engineering. Well, they're getting ready to do it to us again. Now, in light of this article in the EU about artificial intelligence and ethics and all that kind of stuff, you'll get a real kick out of the last article. A UK pedestrian is fined $115 for avoiding facial recognition camera. It says, police fined a pedestrian £90 for disorderly behavior after he tried to cover his face when he saw a controversial facial recognition camera on a street in London. Officers set up the camera on a van in Romford, East London, which then cross-checked photos of faces of passers-by against a database of wanted criminals. One man was unimpressed about being filmed and covered his face with his hat and jacket before being stopped by officers who took his picture anyway. After being pulled aside, the man told police, "If I want to cover me face, I'll cover me face. Don't push me over when I'm walking down the street." And it comes just weeks after it was claimed that the new technology incorrectly identified members of the public in 96% of the matches made between 2016 and 2018. That doesn't bother them, apparently. The cameras have been rolled out on a trial in parts of Britain, with the Met making its first arrest last December when shoppers in London's West End were scanned. But their use has sparked a privacy debate, with civil liberties group Big Brother Watch branding the move, quote, a breach of fundamental rights to privacy and freedom of assembly, close quote. Police argue they are necessary to crack down on spiraling crime. Well, you'll have to read this article to get the irony of this whole thing. Britain has privacy laws very similar to the United States, but in this case, it did not restrain police from stopping and fining a resident for trying to cover his face to avoid being photographed by this AI camera on a public street. So they were watching. They saw this guy walk by and pull up his jersey over his face. They got out of their van. They went over and accosted him and says, "We're writing you a ticket for doing that, and furthermore, we're going to take your picture on top of it." Now, this is a case of scanning every innocent civilian walking down the street in order to compare their face to a list of known wanted persons. This is exactly the kind of thing that people are concerned about with police overreach. They're simply doing things in the name of public safety while everybody gets scanned. Is it really necessary to scan everybody's face in society in order to monitor a few troublemakers? This argument is being prepped in the United States right now, by the way, and I'll tell you how. At the border, facial recognition is being used extensively to scan the faces of people coming into the country. everywhere they can. They're identifying them by face, by name, and other identification information. And then they've been letting these people go into the interior of the country, most of whom never show up for their court appearance, most of whom just simply disappear into the fabric of society and are never heard from again until they commit a crime or do something else. But they live on as illegal aliens, and here they are scattered throughout America. Now, there are millions of people who are undocumented in America, and the government in many cases has pictures of these people. They don't know where they are. They cannot locate them any way, shape, or form. You can see the argument coming up that, well, the only way we'll ever find out where those people are is to scan everybody's face in the entire society and compare it to the list of people we know are here illegally, and then we go get them. I don't like that argument. I can see it coming. This is the technocrat mindset, and it's being set up in America as well. Well, Britain already has apparently fallen into this mindset that it's okay to scan all citizens in order to find and cull out the troublemakers. And in this case, the rights of these individual citizens are being violated, and there's nothing the citizens can do about it. If they try, as this man did, he got pulled over and fined $115. And then they took his picture anyway. Well, if you haven't had a chance yet to get a copy of my book, Technocracy, The Hard Road to World Order, I think you should. All these ideas are addressed in this book, and it connects the dots in a way that you can understand what globalization is doing to the world. This is the end result of it. This is the heartbeat of technocracy that's been brewing and growing since the 1930s, and now it's manifested in the name of sustainable development, green economy, Green New Deal, total surveillance society, using advanced technology to engineer society. Well, there's an old adage that you can't fix a problem that you don't know or understand. That's exactly the case here. If people don't know who the enemy is, how can they possibly fight him? So we need to get the word out. People need to understand the nature of the beast here. I'm Patrick Wood for Technocracy News and Trends. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.